talking to Dr. Heather Stuart, who's come here all the way from Canada to talk about the importance of stigma. It was really fascinating to hear what you were talking about. I'm really interested in the idea of self-stigma. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so self-stigma is one of three types of stigma, but it's the one that affects people who have a mental illness, I think, most directly. And that's when they internalize stereotypes, they apply them to themselves, they start to agree with them, and then there are all these different psychosocial consequences like lowered self-esteem, feeling that they've caused the illness, that they're the problem. We heard that from one of the people today in the room, that it was a big realization to find out that he wasn't the problem. And then once people start to think in that way, they start to limit their life's opportunities. They won't join social groups. They won't try to seek employment. They'll expect that people will be stigmatizing towards them, and they kind of recoil away from that. It's a defense, an attempt to defend themselves, but it can get in the way of them having, social participation. So it's a vicious cycle with public stigma, self-stigma, and structural stigma.
That's really interesting. And is there anything from what you've heard today or from what you've heard from people in the past that you think can help to overcome that stigma?
I think the first thing that's really important is that people have to be aware that they're doing it. And so what we do in Canada is we have these groups where people discuss these things amongst themselves. We take them through a structured conversation. And not only that it's possible to do it, but how they specifically are doing it. So they have homework, they go home and think about things. And then they come back together and talk about ways in which they might stop doing that or overcoming that. So we're not prescribing to them, but we're helping them understand that this is a possibility. Are you doing this? And if so, how are you doing it? And now let's think about what you might do differently, and go home and try it. Come back and tell us, did it work? And if it didn't, what do you think went wrong? And other people in the group will give you advice about how to do things differently the next time. And it seems to be having good results.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.